Hello and welcome again to another screencast edition of Adobe Photoshop. Today we'll be learning about the various selection tools available here in Photoshop. As you see right here on the top left, you have a column full of various toolbars that have different function and features. Today we'll be focusing at least within the 4 rows right here and what they do and basically what each mechanics of that toolbar does. Now, as you already know, the Move tool, which is the top first one, basically moves said object from a layer to and from. So I could just easily move it like this and voila, it's there. It's pretty much self-explanatory in regards to what it does, but there are other features when you click and hold the icon to pop up the submenus right here. But today we're going to be focusing on the various other selection tools out there. So before I do that, let me get a picture. So I'm going to go to File and Open, and that'll have my cow. So I'm going to use this cow as a set example right here. So, of course, as you know, right here within the selections tool, I could show you the various stuff. So the first off is, of course, your marquee tools. If you click and hold, you'll see the various marquee submenus right here. The ones that are listed, of course, is the rectangular marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, single row marquee, and single column. These are like a restricted type of marquees where, of course, it only goes either horizontal or vertical. Now, with these right here, the rectangular marquee tool, what it does, it makes a general selection of an object that you want. So you could use the rectangle to sort of crop a certain area in which you want and you want to copy. All you have to do is click and drag to make the selection. Once you already have that, the next step would be to Control C to copy. If you see right here, when I hold the Control key, you see the little scissors under the arrow. When I press C is to copy. Now, if I were to press Control X, that would cut the whole thing out. What we're doing is just copying the object here. So if I were to Control V to paste, you'll see that I'm able to put the picture here. Now, the positive, like the pros for this is that yes, you could get a good general selection, but the con about that is that, of course, again, it's a very broad general selection, and it'd be more better if to be used with geometrical shapes or structures when using the marquee tool. Anything that is of curvilinear or an organic structure would be a little bit difficult to get. Of course, since this cow is of course organic creature, so of course there's going to be curvilinear shapes and the body structure in itself. So that's the only downside with that, but it's great for geometrical shapes and structures, not so great for organic objects or subjects. So that's that. Now, you could do the same thing with elliptical marquee tool. It'll do the same. Again, same cons. It'll do a general selection. Pro tip: if you want a perfect circle or a perfect square, all you have to do is hold the Shift key, click and drag, and you can easily select your said object right here, just like that. So hold the Shift key, click and drag, then release your mouse. You should be able to get a perfect circle. If you make a mistake on your selection, just press Control D as in dog to deselect. So same thing right here. Now, same thing with the rectangular square marquee tool. Is all you have to do is hold the Shift key and click and select, and you can get a perfect square. Now, that's just one of those little pro tips in case you needed to know. The second selection tools available is, of course, your Lasso tool. Now, the shortcut key for this is the letter L. What it does, it's like a free-form selection, which you could sort of guesstimate what you want selected. And of course, just like this, I'm going to use the lasso tool to sort of lasso up a certain part in a certain section of the cow right here. So if you could see right here, it's great that you're able to go a little bit more into details to here. Now, if you make a mistake or like sort of took more than you should, all you have to do is hold the Alt key and you'll see your lasso have a little minus sign right there. So say, okay, I want to get rid of this part right here. Select, boom. Do the same thing here. You have the ability to sort of trim out any excess stuff. And that's the beauty of it with the lasso tool here. So here are the pros. Basically, again, it's a freeform selection tool that lets you select uh, your subject or object however you please. It's, again, freeform, so you have the ability to not only uh, increase the amount of selection, but also trim out any excess selection. So I'm going to press Control C to copy and paste. Now, it's great, yes. One of the biggest downsides when it comes to the lasso tool, of course, you're going to get a really choppy selection. It's like getting a pair of scissors and cutting it. So you, again, the same problem that you run with the rectangular marquee tool is that you get a general selection. You yes get a detailed selection, but you still have a little bit of less general excess selections. So I have this excess grass, and it becomes a little bit of a pain to deal with. So here's this observation here. What I'm going to do is resize it by using the Control T free transform tool to adjust, then press Enter to apply. So again, I'm going to press Control T to use the free transform tool, hold the Shift key, click and drag the corner to resize on all angles, so it won't be sort of morphed out of proportion, and then press Enter to apply. Now to the next part of one of the various lasso tools. The other one is the Polygonal Lasso tool. Like the Lasso tool, it is a free-form selection tool that gives you the ability to select any curvilinear or organic creature or anything that you have within this picture. So again, with this cow right here, as you can see, just I could do multiple clicks on how I'm gonna outline. And just like the lasso tool, again, it's free form. You have the ability to work. And the great thing is that you can move the polygonal lasso tool to however direction you have by just a single click. It has that same essence of the pen tool without all the hassle like the pen tool has, which I will get into it later on this semester. So here with this cow right here again, I could also go into detail on the selection on what I have here. So of course I could go into the detail of going under where the udders are at to the ribs and the lower part of the cow. And I can even go to the detail of its hindquarters and hooves. So I could even go in detail of even in the spacing of said selection. Once I've already reached to the very end, you'll see a little circle. Click on that and it'll make your selection. So if I were to Control C to copy, Control V to paste, I'm able to paste it. Now, pros, it's great. It's a little bit more detailed. It gives you a little bit of more freedom in regards to um, how you select. Cons, it's a little bit time consuming, yes. And of course, if you don't use the various other features, of course, your original selection is going to have these choppy geometrical cuts that looks like a newspaper trimming that you cut out. And of course, there's still this inorganic feel in regards to cutting to it. There are other features in which you could adjust if needed. Um, all you have to do is just go to select and mask. If you want to make adjustments here, click on the radius, smooth it out right here, and if needed to, feather it, and just press OK. It'll clean it up and isolate just like that. Now again, still not perfect, but hey, it's a close second. So that's with that. So I'm going to resize it by the free transform tool. Hold the shift key, go to the corner, click and drag, press enter to apply. Now, the next lasso tool right here, of course, is the magnetic lasso. Unlike the polygonal lasso, you could do what the magnetic lasso does is sort of connect or sort of magnetize onto the said subject that you have select here. Once you make the first click, it sort of attaches to the subject with ease. Now, if let's say if you make a mistake, whoops, best thing to do is press the backspace key so you could go back and undo any selections. So sometimes if your selections is not up to par in your standards, you have the ability to just go back by pressing the backspace key. You could do multiple selections or less than multiple selections and it would still attach without any trouble. You've got plenty of ease and plenty of sort of leg room to work with the magnetic lasso. And that's one of the big positives in regards to the lasso tool, the magnetic lasso tool. And it really does go into detail, especially if your picture of the subject is clear, background is also bare. It could be like a single color, or if, of course, background is not overly cluttered. Um, that's, like I said, that's the beauty of this whole thing. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. You have the ability to use the backspace key. And once you're finished, you can make the selection just like that. Oops. Here we go. Control V. Now,